According to a stunning new report released by Senator Ron Wyden, it's not just Trump, it's not just Pam Bondi who are stopping the release of the Epstein files, but Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, because the Treasury Department evidently have thousands of detailed financial information and records regarding Epstein's financial transactions. And Senator Ron Wyden has been trying to get access for these records and has been denied by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Follow the money. Senator Ron Wyden has been out in front of this for quite a long time. He's continuing to put pressure by doing and releasing this report. He's also calling out JPMorgan Chase executives, saying that they didn't just inadvertently not report the suspicious activity as they would, but according to him, they did it because they wanted to continue to do business with him because he was such an important client. Let's get into the new report and also the subpoena. The Oversight Committee has subpoenaed JPMorgan Chase in order to get more information around the Epstein documents. Senator Ron Wyden said this about Scott Bessent. As he released the report, he posted this on X. He said, "You all know I've been after the Treasury Department's own Epstein file. It's a set of thousands of detailed bank records, a map of Epstein's financial network. Secretary Bessent is blocking its release, and he denies it's even something Treasury should be investigating. So it's not just Trump and Bondi running interference for pedophiles. Bessent is a key part of the Epstein cover-up. I plan to seek Senate approval of my bill to force the Treasury to release its Epstein file in the coming weeks because we need to keep on following the money." This would be separate and in addition to the bill that was just recently passed, forcing the DOJ to hand over their Epstein files. Of course, we know the DOJ may be trying to claim that there's an active investigation and not release certain of them. That is to be determined. But this is separate. Treasury has their own financial transaction information. And if you are wondering how much that is, in his report that he released, he talks about just JPMorgan Chase alone. As we know, there's 4 different banks involved in the transactions, but JPMorgan Chase, they had reported only $4.3 million in suspicious activities. After Epstein's death, they reported $1.5 billion in suspicious activities. These are just suspicious activities. Never mind the total amount of financial transactions Epstein had with JPMorgan Chase. Now, as we know, the banks have a duty to report. They have a duty to report any activities that look like money laundering or any activities that seems to be carrying out or participating or covering up a crime. Similar to how doctors and teachers have to report if they think that there is abuse suspect involved. They have a duty to report. Banks have a duty to report and have compliance procedures in place in order to report. And in this new release, he says that he thinks that the executives covered up, not just inadvertently didn't report, but they covered it up because they wanted to continue doing business with him. They said even after he was charged, they stopped doing business with him. They continued to get referrals from him. And they think that was why they didn't report those suspicious activities until after he died. He goes into the specifics. Now, Senator Wyden is using some of this new evidence that he puts in the report from the recent release of the emails, because he sees the correspondence that Jeffrey Epstein himself had with JPMorgan and realizes, according to Senator Wyden, how close it was, how often they communicated, what a personal interest that they had, that this wasn't just an inadvertent situation. And he uses one email in his report specifically about the fact that there was this suspicious cash withdrawal and somebody at JPMorgan was helping Jeffrey Epstein report it in a certain way that maybe might get around their own internal systems. And it says, this is a better fact pattern than I thought. J.E., that's Jeffrey Epstein, and I spoke about his pattern of cash withdrawals. His answer was, quote, fuel payments in foreign countries. Some of the countries were OFAC listed. Sounds like I still need to speak with him. However, I did ask him to withdraw this cash from his aviation account for these payments. Clearly, he is doing this. Perhaps the best next step is for us to speak with Harry, who we know, and ask Harry about the cash withdrawals. Agree? Concerns? Senator Wyden, in his report, says compliance officials also later documented their clear understanding that paying for jet fuel expenses in cash is not a normal business practice. Although they found it unusual for Epstein to withdraw so much cash, they continue to allow him to do so. So Senator Wyden making this case specifically about this bank, that they should have known better, but they didn't do anything because he was part of this elite group of clients called, in the group, the group was called Wall of Cash. That was literally the name of this elite group of clients. And so Senator Wyden says we need to know more about how JPMorgan dealt with Jeffrey Epstein, how he was being treated with this Wall of Cash. And then we also separately, in addition to this report by Senator Wyden calling out Scott Bessent, saying he is also stopping very critical information from coming out and calling on JPMorgan to get more. We have the House Oversight Committee issuing a subpoena to JPMorgan Chase, saying that they need to give them more documentation around the Epstein transactions. The guys at True Classic started with a mission, bringing premium, comfortable clothing to their customers at an affordable price. And boy, did they deliver. They've sold 25 million shirts to 5 million people, earning 200,000 five-star reviews. And my husband is one of them. I got him the pants, the shirts. He thought they were extremely comfortable. I thought they were flattering. They quickly became his favorite. And now, just in time for the holidays, they've launched their women's line. They have a sweat outfit that's extremely comfortable and a tank that I can dress up or I can dress down, making True Classic the perfect holiday gift for everyone on your list. So skip the stress and the overpriced designer stuff. Give comfort, give confidence, give True Classic. You can find them at Amazon, Target, Costco, and Sam's Club, or head to trueclassic.com/mistrial to shop the perfect gifts for everyone on your list. Oversight Committee subpoena to JPMorgan Chase says that they have to hand over any documentation related to their committee's investigation into Epstein. So we'll see what happens with that. But as Wyden is saying, the Treasury Department has their own financial information that they can just access now, and they are not, because Bessent is stopping it. JPMorgan Chase gave a quote telling the New York Times that it has regretted and repeatedly said that it regrets its dealing with Mr. Epstein and did all it could with the information at the time. This is what the bank is saying. Wyden obviously is saying something different here. As we know, JPMorgan Chase settled with victims to the tune of over $200 million for their actions or inactions, let's say, related to Jeffrey Epstein. Senator Wyden also pointing out that Jeffrey Epstein gave millions of dollars to Ghislaine Maxwell through JPMorgan Chase. And as we know, Todd Blanche has relocated her after his conversation. She was relocated to this cushy prison. So Senator Wyden being sure to include her in these transactions and in these financial dealings. So Senator Wyden saying, follow the money. Regardless of what Bondi is doing, regardless of what Trump is doing, there is another source of information, very critical information, because as we know, with the sex trafficking ring that he had, over 1,000 victims, seems to be as many co-conspirators. The money and the payments are crucial to this, and frankly, why there is this legal requirement for banks to report in order to stop something like this from happening. And Clearly they didn't, whether or not it was, you could say the bank said it was inadvertent, or whether or not it seems to be Senator Wyden saying it was much more known that the higher ups knew about this, according to him. So I will continue to follow this story. It's a very important story. If you haven't yet subscribed to the Mistrial podcast, be sure to do this. Check out our links of our sponsors below. They never censor what I have to say, which is so important in this moment.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.